Hi guys, follow me on Instagram to never ever miss any of my crazy updates. Alright, we are all set to go, which means first and foremost turning off the air conditioning. The air conditioning is off. Getting into dynamic mode activated. Getting into drive, turning off traction control. This button does not work only. How do you... Neha, can you help me with turning off traction control? Okay, traction control is off. Left foot on the brake, right foot on the accelerator. Revving the motor. Oh my god, it revs to almost 3000 RPM. And off we go. Okay, we're already gone, but still, that was a little late from my side. As you can see, performance is really very slick and linear, and the motor does pull nice and enthusiastically as well. Now, this is a 2-liter engine. It's a 4-cylinder unit. Turbocharged is known as the Ingenium. Actually, diesel is also known as the Ingenium, which is kind of confusing. But this one produces 250 horsepower and 365 Newton meters of torque, which comes in at 1500 RPM. Now we will get into sport for the gearbox as well. Left foot on the brake, right foot on the accelerator. Motor actually sounds quite nice. Power delivery is very linear indeed, and it has got good amount of punch lower down as well because turbo lag is well contained. Mid-range is nice, and the top end is where it really shines. If I press any of the pedals, there, now it's in manual mode. Now it's going to hold on to a gear and not upshift unless and until I decide to do so, giving me complete manual control of things. Here we are now in second gear, revving the motor. Almost 7000 RPM. Yeah, the 7000 RPM feeling is there in this car as well, which is really very nice. But the gearbox could have been a little bit more responsive. It's not the quickest with shifts, and sometimes at some speeds, rather at lower speeds, it's not really quick or decisive with the gear shifts. However, you can manually take control of things, and it gives you complete manual control, which is a good thing indeed. तू पहले छींक ले, फिर चलाते हैं गाड़ी.
मैं छींकने से बड़ी तकलीफ हो रही है.
नहीं यार, this is completely screwed यार. Steering is not coming straight anymore. There, it will not upshift unless and until I decide to do so. So basically I am in the dynamic mode. And what exactly is this dynamic mode? Well, dynamic mode makes changes to the steering as well as the engine, and the gearbox changes happens when you shift this lever from D to S, making it more sportier, making it hold on to the revs higher. And then if you click on the pedals, then it will not upshift unless and until you decide to do so. So while performance in the city is more than adequate, out on the highway you definitely crave for more power, because making a quick overtake, this car takes its own sweet time because you have to rev it, and you know, till the time it doesn't reach the top end, it's not really that responsive as such, because top end is where it sounds also the best and really feels more eager as well. And that is the issue here with the Range Rover Velar. It's offered with 4-cylinder engines. Yeah, the diesel I feel would be slightly better owing to the higher torque, although it is 70 horsepower lower. But honestly, this car deserves a 6-cylinder engine minimum. A 6-cylinder engine is a minimum in the Range Rover Velar. Maybe we should also get an 8-cylinder, but forget 8 for the moment. Every other brand in this segment is offering a 6-cylinder alternative. I don't understand why Range Rover isn't doing it. Now, the suspension of this car is on the stiffer side. It's unlike a Range Rover. It doesn't glide on the road like is the case with the bigger Range Rovers on offer, which is kind of sad. It is on the stiffer side. The stiffness can be felt at any given moment, and that's a little bothersome because our roads are less than perfect, and this is the most road going Range Rover. Probably they should not call it the most road going Range Rover, they should call it the most track going Range Rover, because honestly the suspension is super duper stiff, especially on expansion joints. Although at the front we get a double wishbone suspension system, independent of course. At the rear we get a multi-link, again independent suspension, and overall balance I would say is brilliant around the corners. Yes, there is body roll, and you cannot get away with the fact that this car weighs 1875 kgs. Yes, this is a heavy vehicle. Yeah, it weighs a lot indeed, but honestly I would still forgive the weight because you can't feel all that weight as such. That is the level of engineering on offer, and traction is so good that even with traction control off, there is ample amount of grip. Now obviously this is a 4-wheel drive. Land Rover only offers all-wheel drive vehicles. They don't offer front wheel or rear wheel vehicles, because at the end of the day the cars have to be capable off-road as well, and this is a very capable car off-road in spite of the fact that it doesn't look off-road worthy, but it's extremely capable off the road. 251 mm is the ground clearance. It's got all surface progress control, something of that sort, which is like the cruise control for lower speed driving, which obviously happens off-road. I mean, a 4-cylinder engine is still forgivable in this car because it's light, it's small, it's nimble, and it is the Audi TT. There it goes, the TT45 TFSI.
Audi, BMW.
You know, you always hit the pedals and put the gearbox into manual mode because there is a problem in the way the car responds when you're trying to make a quick overtake, because you really need a downshift. Otherwise, it doesn't have enough oomph to get going quickly, which is unfortunate because the car which looks this gorgeous definitely deserves to be more punchy and have more cylinders as well. Fuel economy 7 kilometers per liter from this petrol model, and I cannot comprehend why would anyone want to buy a petrol powered SUV in the first place. Fuel tank capacity 63 liters, which is decent size, big enough I would say. I do like the sound of the motor, especially in the top end. What?
टेढ़ा है.
I get so irked up with the fact that there is not enough oomph for overtaking, like quick overtakes. You want to make a fast overtake, especially not on open highways, but around the ghats. You're like, okay, I need to make an overtake. The car runs out of breath very fast because yes, it is on the heavier side and it doesn't have the punch of a 6-cylinder. Obviously, it's a 4-cylinder, so it can never have the punch of a 6-cylinder without a doubt. But a car which looks so gorgeous definitely deserves more power, period. There is no two ways about it. Now, coming to the main point here is the fact that now Land Rover has dropped 24 freaking variants, 23 variants actually. Earlier used to come in 25, 26 variants. Now only 2 variants on offer, the Dynamic S, one in petrol and one in diesel, and both of them are priced identically somehow. However, the on-road price has a difference of 1.3 lakhs. I don't understand how. The petrol is more expensive at 88.3 lakhs on-road Mumbai, but it is cheaper by 14-15 lakhs from earlier, which is a considerable price drop considering the fact that now it gets not only more features but is also as desirable as ever. Now the drop in price is because now they are locally assembling this car in the Indian market itself. So the steering does weigh up decently well at higher speeds. The steering is actually quite nice indeed, and because this is a very capable car off-road as well, I actually doubt if people will take it off-road, but it is a Range Rover at the end of the day. Fun to drive, definitely looks the part, absolutely stunning, and I love the quality of the interiors, the design aspect both outside and on the inside, and that's something which will definitely attract a lot of people to the Velar. However, it is still on the expensive side in spite of the fact that the price has been reduced, and you can see my camera is moving all over the place because the suspension is just not compliant enough for our road, especially on expansion joints. You can feel a lot of it, and it's a little bit on the noisier side as well. But what I absolutely don't like about this car is this infotainment system. I mean, not only is it complex, you can still understand it, it's kind of slow and not very responsive as such. But in terms of the desirability quotient, nothing, absolutely nothing under a crore has the same levels of eye candy and pops eyeballs like the Range Rover Velar. It's just such a stunning looking car, absolutely phenomenally designed. Like Land Rover keeps surprising time and again, like they did with the Evoque, the Range Rover Sport, the new Range Rover, as well as the Range Rover Velar. The Velar actually sits right above the Range Rover Evoque, obviously, but it is slightly underpositioned below the Discovery 5. So the Discovery 5 slots right between the Range Rover Velar and the Range Rover Sport. The Sport is obviously the more expensive one. However, as I see it, now the Velar is a lot more attractive due to the aggressive pricing. We only need more powerful engines. We really need 6-cylinder engines because a car that looks so fast should definitely go fast as well. I mean, look at the way it just kind of doesn't waft along at all what you expect from a Range Rover. It moves around like expansion joints, bad roads. There's so much movement somehow, because of which, you know, kind of get uncomfortable in this vehicle. Now this uses the same platform as the Jaguar F-Pace, so yes, it is dynamic in a way but not really comfortable like a Range Rover should be. The Velar does offer great levels of grip, that coupled with the fact that braking performance is extremely sure-footed ensures that the Velar is actually a very fun car to drive. But yes, there is some amount of roll, you get used to the roll, you won't mind it at all, but you cannot get over the fact that this is a heavy car, and I don't know why it's so heavy actually. It could have dropped some weight for sure, and it's actually only in the Indian market where we are devoid of 6-cylinder engines from Land Rover. However, globally and everywhere else, they offer a lot more powerful engines, which definitely makes a lot more sense considering the fact that person is shelling so much money wants more power. but I still cannot deny the fact that this 4-cylinder engine actually does a great job of lugging all that weight around and doesn't make the car feel sluggish. It's just that expectation you want immediate response when spending close to 90 lakh rupees. So guys, this is my vlog of the Range Rover Velar, and if you liked it, you know what you have to do. Give it the thumbs up, that's the like button, and also subscribe to the channel. I will see you guys in the next video real soon. Bye bye, take care.